Hey Vista, and welcome back to your City Council Tea. This is episode 4, and we're covering the Vista City Council meeting from April 14th, 2026. Last night's meeting, as of recording this, ran just over 3.5 hours and covered several things that directly affect Vista neighborhoods. So let's not waste any time. I'm Chris Rainwaters, Vista, California's self-proclaimed Village Witch, and today's episode is sponsored by Coven Real Estate. Coven Real Estate is my family's brokerage, and we're supporting this series because we believe our community deserves to understand what's happening inside these meetings without having to sit through 3.5 hours of public process every single time. This series does take real work to put together, but I'm glad to do it because every good witch knows that local real estate isn't just about transactions. It's about understanding what's changing in your city before everyone else does. And that is exactly what this series is for. If you find that helpful, one of the best ways that you can support it is by liking, subscribing, or even just commenting Vista California below so the algorithm knows exactly who this information is for. And if you're a local business that would like to sponsor an episode, I would love to partner with more Vista-based businesses as this series grows. Supporting each other locally is how communities stay strong. All right, let's get into it. The first quick update is that closed session had no reportable action tonight. What that means is that there's nothing like going on behind the curtain that's directly affecting residents in any public way right now. Council also recognized several city employees for operational excellence, including staff supporting the city's GIS mapping systems. That's the interactive city map residents can use to explore things like zoning, infrastructure, and neighborhood information. And if you haven't played around with it yet, you should. It's pretty cool if you're into that anyway, which I am. I can admit it. Then they recognized leadership supporting operations at the Moonlight Amphitheater, which most of us are a little more familiar with. And they officially proclaimed April as Earth Month in Vista. Personally, I think every day should be Earth Day, but I guess I'm just, like a tree-hugging hippie then. But that includes programs like the City Tree Giveaway Initiative, compost support programs, and participation in renewable energy efforts through the Clean Energy Alliance. These proclamations are ceremonial, but they do signal where the city continues investing long-term. Public comment again included concerns about youth cannabis exposure and secondhand smoke in housing. This has been coming up consistently across meetings, and I talked about it, I think in episode 2, but it happens every council meeting. So if that topic affects your household or neighborhood and you would like me to cover that more in depth, say what the people are saying and that sort of thing, all you have to do is ask in the comments and I'm happy to include it, but I'm just gonna skip over it as I've been. There was also a neighborhood update related to the new pickleball courts at Bringle Terrace Park. Residents raised concerns about bathroom access and accessibility paths. The city confirmed, though, that a paved walkway connecting the courts to the recreation center restrooms is already approved and scheduled for construction later this year. So that issue is already moving forward. No more peeing in the bushes over there, thank goodness, because while I get it, I don't want my pickleball courts to smell like a dive bar bathroom. Another public comment introduced something I think is worth keeping an eye on. So a resident proposed converting a long-vacant residential property into a 24-hour emergency safe haven for youth experiencing crisis situations outside, normal service hours. The point they raised was that emergencies involving young people do not always happen during the daytime, and having somewhere safe available overnight could make a real difference in those situations. There's no formal action yet, but proposals like this are often how future agenda items begin. Next, we had movement on an affordable housing agreement tied to the former downtown church property near the Civic Center area. Council confirmed progress towards executing that agreement and getting that building torn down ASAP. This property has been a long-standing concern for downtown residents, so seeing forward movement here is significant. Now, let's talk about the North Santa Fe housing development approval. So council approved the final subdivision map for a 46 home project at 2123 North Santa Fe Avenue. For those of you who are not familiar with this project, this is the Camino Largo development. It's a roughly 9-acre site that's across from Guajome Regional Park that has been moving through the approval process for several years and is planned for 46 detached single-family homes with new internal streets and infrastructure. Residents nearby raised concerns about drainage runoff, headlight exposure, utility line visibility, and retaining wall transitions between properties. City staff explained detention basins and drainage controls that are included in the design, and SDG&E will review utility placement questions. One other council member voted against the project, but under California subdivision law, cities are required to approve final maps if they match previously approved plans, and it did. So this approval was largely procedural at this stage. What this vote really means is the entitlement phase is essentially complete and the project is moving closer to construction. Still, this does add 46 new homes to Vista's housing pipeline, and inventory matters. Next, we got a Moonlight Amphitheater update. The city is selecting a new concessions operator after surveying more than 7,000 season ticket holders. And the biggest takeaway from that survey was simple. People want more menu variety. That means that the previous vendor, Bread and Cheese Eatery, is out, and DLS Events LLC is in for the upcoming season. That agreement currently runs through the end of this year, with options to extend it up to 5 years depending on how the partnership performs. During the discussion, the new vendor indicated that they did plan to source food locally when possible, although local sourcing is not specifically written into the contract itself. So that will be something to watch as the season progresses. The Chamber of Commerce also raised concern about adding stronger local vendor preference criteria in future procurement policies, and council supported exploring that idea. So this decision may influence how future city contracts are evaluated across Vista, not just at the Moonlight Amphitheater. Council then unanimously approved aligning retirement classifications for fire prevention staff with firefighters. This change recognizes their exposure to carcinogens and similar operational risks in the field. It doesn't change services, but it does affect how those employees are supported long-term. If you know more about this and want to share in the comments, please do, because my knowledge is minimal. Next came an important financial discussion. So Vista currently carries about $90 million in unfunded pension liability, which basically means that the city has long-term retirement commitments to their employees that aren't fully funded yet today. Not that the city owes $90 million right now, but that it has to keep planning ahead over time to meet those obligations. This is actually a normal issue for cities across California, and Vista is in a stronger position than many because Vista also has roughly $25 million set aside and growing in a reserve trust designed to help stabilize those payments. Council reviewed options for using that trust to smooth further contribution spikes due to market volatilities and rising costs, but chose to delay action until market conditions became clearer later this year. So this is a strategy discussion still in progress rather than a finalized decision. And if you follow municipal finance or public pension strategy, I'd be curious to see what you think makes sense here. These kinds of long-range decisions quietly shape what cities can afford to do in the future. Apparently, Chico has a lot to say on it. He is cocky. And honestly, investing in its own retirement now helps make sure that those obligations don't become a burden later. So thank you from your kids. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest infrastructure updates from the night, Vista's solar streetlight expansion program. And honestly, if you want safer neighborhoods, you need outside light at night. Although I do like looking at the stars myself, but I'm also in town and there's a lot of light. Even something as simple as better lighting changes how safe spaces feel. I know I accidentally harm myself quite a bit less frequently since I installed a solar nightlight in my own bathroom, so this logic tracks. All right, in all seriousness, phase 1 of the program installed 12 solar streetlights west of North Melrose. Phase 2 includes 97 lights total and 55 have already been installed. Construction for this phase is expected to finish early next month. And there are already more than 80 additional requests just waiting to be prioritized after that. That's telling you how quickly demand is growing across neighborhoods. People want safer walkways, safer driveways, safer streets, and honestly, fewer surprise encounters with curbs, sprinklers, dog turds, and whatever else is hiding out there in the dark. Yeah, I'm talking to you, coyotes. No more small dog meals for you. Go eat all the rabbits in the field behind my house instead. But the biggest decision here was actually about process. Council directed staff to create a petition system so residents can request streetlights, oppose installations, or request relocation if needed. That gives neighborhoods a clear voice in how lighting infrastructure gets placed moving forward. There was even one example tonight where residents on Salina Courts asked the city not to install streetlights on their cul-de-sac because of wildlife impacts, astronomy viewing, and existing neighborhood safety concerns. Council supported relocating those streets instead to East Drive near the Salsa Market. Future streetlight placement will also be prioritized using GIS safety scoring. So this includes things like collision history, crime patterns, pedestrian activity, missing sidewalks, missing crosswalks, and proximity to transit routes. So lighting decisions are becoming increasingly data-driven. And last, but certainly not least, was a pedestrian safety improvement package approved for the Circle neighborhood in the Townsite area. This project includes new sidewalk completion along North Indiana Avenue, high visibility crosswalks at East Orange and East Washington, speed humps in 2 residential alley corridors, and even evaluation of additional stop or yield controls near Circle Drive and Indiana. These improvements are funded through community development block grant dollars. Several residents came out and spoke how dangerous that corridor has been for years. Some even shared that they've already lost pets there and are worried that someone could eventually lose a person. So this project moving forward is a direct example of what happens when neighbors show up and speak during public comment and council listens. Council member Corina Contreras in particular spent time engaging with residents on this issue, and moments like this are exactly why she has strong support locally. Full transparency, I do personally support Corina's campaign for Congress in California's 48th Congressional District, and this kind of neighborhood level responsiveness is part of why. Not to mention that she's the only candidate that actually lives in the district that she'll be representing. Yeah. Anywho's it. Council approved the package unanimously, and the project is expected to move to the top of the city's infrastructure priority list for that funding category. Projects like this do not just change traffic flow. They change how drivers move through a neighborhood. They make streets safer for the people who live there and signal to passersby that this is a place where people belong, because it subtly communicates something powerful. This is not a shortcut. This is not a corridor. This is a neighborhood, and passers through need to respect that and slow down. So overall, tonight's meeting tells us a few important things about where Vista is heading right now. Housing development continues moving forward, even when the neighbors have concerns, but the city is working through those concerns as projects move towards construction, and they can't move backward. Downtown affordable housing progress is advancing, so say goodbye to that creepy abandoned church building near the Civic Center. Pedestrian safety improvements are happening in older neighborhoods where residents have been asking them for years. Streetlight expansion is continuing across the city, and there's now a clearer process for residents to request lights or even relocate them if needed. And Moonlight Amphitheater operations are evolving based on real resident feedback. So if you're a season ticket holder, keep an eye out for those surveys in your email. If something isn't working with this new food vendor, they actually do need to hear about it. These meetings don't just sit on paper. They change what it feels like to live here. If you live in Vista and want to understand how city decisions affect your neighborhood, safety improvements, or what's changing locally, this is exactly why I make this series. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, I do have several free guides available, including buyer, seller, first-time time buyer, 55 plus communities, and a Lake Arrowhead Mountain Community Guide if you're looking for a home away from home. You can find those through the link below in the description. And watch this video if you're curious about where North County San Diego's real estate market is headed. Thanks for joining me for Vista City Council Tea. I'll see you after the next meeting, but hopefully sooner.